Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this video I'm going to show you how to make this two-piece. So guys, we're going to start with the skirt because the top is basically a padded tube top, a padded off-shoulder top. Bustier is what I'm going to use to make it. So let's start with the skirt. So this is what I'm working with here. So I have this folded into two. So I don't have any denim fabric to work with, but if you have denim you can go ahead and use it. I'm just going to use this plain as my skirt part, right? So I'm going to go ahead and cut just a short skirt. You'll notice that my front panel has about 2 inch or 1.5 depending on you, just but do 2 inches here. This is going to form my button placket, the button placket. Yes. So the skirt is basically, it has this placket, is a denim skirt with button down in front. So if you have like a short skirt, or you have any skirt that has this button, you can go ahead and cut it, right? So I'm just going to make a skirt that is about, currently the length I'm working with here is 18, but I can always reduce it, but I started with 18 just to be safe. And then I have this fabric folded into two, which is the back. The one with the extension of 2 inches here is the front panel. So we're going to go to the waist first, divide my waist by 4. So whatever you get, go ahead and mark it, and then add 2 inches, 1 inch of that and 1 inch of seam allowance. And then I'm going to come down. I'll leave 2 inch out of here for my band, but before that, remember you're supposed to have half an inch here for your seam allowance of joining the band. So my tape is going to, my 2 inch mark is going to start at this half an inch I just marked here, and then I'm going to mark my waist to hip, which is at 10.5, somewhere here. And then on this point here, I'm just going to insert my hip divided by 4, which is already the width of this fabric here, plus 1 is 12. My hip is 48 divided by 4 is 12, plus 1 is 13, which is the width I use in folding this here. And then I'm going to come down to the end of this here, and instead of bringing down this measurement here, I'm just going to subtract 1 for me because I want it fitted just like our own. And then I'm going to connect it, and then connect this one here. After that, I'm going to insert my dart. So come in here, your bust point divided by 2 plus half an inch, mark it, and then I'm going to bring down this dart here 2 inch before my hip line, somewhere here, and then mark it. So half an inch on this side, half an inch on this side. That is my dart. So this dart is going to be added on the 4 layers of the skirt. That's the 2 sides of the back, the 2 sides of the front. So let me go ahead and notch it so that I know that at this point I'm going to add my dart, which is about, I think 8 inches or so, or 6 inch. So let me go ahead now. I'm going to cut off all this excess on the side, and then I'm also going to split open this front into 2. Now that I have my skirt, the next step is just going to be for me to go ahead and open it up like this. Let me also notch like so that I'll know. So these, I have 2 pieces in front and 1 piece at the back. I already know that I'm going to be transferring my dart at the 2 sides of the back like this, and then I'm going to join the sides of the skirt, and then my band is going to be 2 inch band. So that means I need to cut a fabric that is about 5 inch opening. So guys, basically this is the band I'm using. So what you have to do is just to measure around your waist, and then you're going to add 2 inch to it, 1 inch at this end, 1 inch at this end, and then you're going to get your band. Make sure it's about 5 inch here, fold it into 2.5 now, and then you're going to tuck in half an inch on this end here, half an inch on this other end here, and then iron it all the way through. And once you're done with your skirt, you're going to take the waist of your skirt and fit into the band. So I'm going to go ahead and do that on my own now. I've joined everything together. So now the next step is going to be to measure from my waist to my hip. So measure my waist to my hip, which is here. I'm also going to mark it on this side. My waist to hip is 10. I'm marking it on both sides, right? So now after that, I'm going to go ahead and connect from here. It depends on you. If you want, you can give it a curve. I'm not sure if her own has a curve in front, but I'm definitely sure it has a curve at the back. Just to add style to mine, I'm just going to do 13 inch here. So you see, I did shoulder to hip, which is 10 on both sides here, but towards the center I did 13. That's, I came down 3 inch here. I'm going to connect it all the way like this. Connect this one also all the way like this. These are the points where I'm going to be attaching my girder, and then I'm going to turn it to the back. I already tested this skirt to make sure that it fits how I want it to, and then I marked where my below my butt is, and it's here. So I can't tell you where to mark on this one. You have to test your skirt and then point below your butt is where this is going to be. So for me, that is also the same. Okay, it's actually the same, about 13.5 or 13.5. So that's okay. I'm going to, or let me just make it 13 again, not 13.5. And then I'm going to take it up again to my hip line, which is 10 at the back. Do the same thing again, 10 at the back, connect it. Do the same on this side, also connect it. You see? So these are the points where my girder will be. Don't mind this excess. I can always go back in and cut it. But in the meantime, I'm going to just leave it there, because you might cut this off now, and then the skirt will not be gripping your body anymore. You understand what I'm saying? Like, if you cut this off now, it won't have that fitted effect of this part here. So you still have to have some of the skirt down inside of the girder, because if you cut this off now, that means girder is what is holding it on this side, girder is what is holding it on this side, then it will start pulling up. So you still have to have an actual skirt length underneath the whole girder. So now to do the girder, this is how we are going to calculate it. I went ahead and measured from my waist to the floor. So I'm working with 43. And then I'm going to use the highest length of my skirt first, which is 10 inch here. The highest, I'm going to subtract the highest point where this skirt is going to be attached, which is here. I'm not going to use 13. 10 is what I'm going to use. So minus 10. So that is the length I'm working with here. So I'm left with what? 33. Then the next, this 33 now, I have to split it between the first girder. This 10, 43 is the full length of our skirt, right? So let's say this is the skirt now. The first part is the pencil part, the second is the girder, and then the last part. So this pencil part first is 10 inch length. I decided that the second part again is going to be also the same 10 inch. We're talking about length right now. So I decided that this one is also going to be 10. And then the bottom part here now, I want it to be, I think 23 is what it will now be, right? So if I add it together, 10, 10, 23 is 43. So I will get back the full length I want for my skirt. So now what I'm going to do is that to this second layer, I'm going to add 1.5 to it. Half an inch of joining it here, and then half an inch of joining the lower one to it. You understand? So let's say this is the center one. This is it here. I don't know how I decided to use this fabric, because now the fabric is finished. I already used it for something else, and then I wanted to use it for this, and thinking it would be enough, and it's not enough, and it's actually 4 yards. But I'm just going to use it like that. So what was I saying? The 10 inch I was talking about, right? So guys, you have 10 inch here first. So like I said, this second layer is going to be 10 again for me. It's not must you use 10. You can decide to make it 13 and then make the last one 20. You can bring this one down, because if you look at her own, this center one is quite long, but I'm just trying to manage my fabric. So but since I decided to do 10 here, I added half an inch here, half an inch here. So the actual length here is 11. Seam allowance of joining this to this, and then half an inch of joining the next layer. We are joining it like how you normally sew your clothes. Don't worry, I'll show you how you're going to get that pleat on it. So now, after that is the last layer, which is this longer one now. You see? The longer one, which is the third layer. I added half an inch to this upper part, and then 1 inch to hem the end. This one is about 23 plus 1.5, so that is 24.5 is the length I have in total for this one. Half an inch here for joining this, half an inch at the end here, and then 1 inch at the end, which I've already used to hem the end of the cloth. So now let's talk about the width. For the width, the first layer, you're going to just multiply round your hip by 2.5, whatever you get. So let's say round your hip is, let's say, I'm just saying like an example, is 20. You multiply it by 2.5, and then you're getting about, I think, 50. That 50 now, you're going to multiply it again by 2.5. That's how you now get the width of the next one, this one. The first one, which is this one, you got it, you got the width. When I say the width, I mean the wideness of fabric that you're going to use to make the girder. by dividing round your hip measurement by 2.5. Whatever you got, you cut it for this one. So let's say you got 60, 70, whatever, times it again by 2.5. That's how you're going to get the width that you're going to use for this one also. So now guys, I know you're thinking, but this is not how she joined her own. Guys, you know that video is not really clear, but from what I've watched it several times, she cut out things that look fabric that looks like this. You see I have plenty here, so you're going to cut out more than enough because you use it even on your top. That's why I'm saying my fabric is not enough. If you decide to do this and you want to make exactly like her own, just keep 6 yards or at least 5 yards. So you're now going to cut something that looks like this. You see, it's 2.5 inch of width, and then make it long. What you're going to do is that if you look at her own, you see that it has like this English weaving at the upper part and at the lower part. So you're going to get it, go to if your sewing machine has the English weaving thing, you're going to weave the upper parts with thread. If you see her own, she used like a black thread. So for me, if I was going to do it now, I'm going to use this burgundy color. That's what I'm going to use the thread to sew the upper part here all the way to the end, sew the bottom part here all the way to the end. And when you're done, you're then going to, in between it, you're going to make a seam that will now pull everything in form of a gather, like so that way to form a ruffle. But just for me, I'm just going to fold my own into two like this. My machine doesn't have it, so I think it's serger or something, but I'm just going to use zigzag to do my own. Anyhow it turns out, it doesn't matter since I'm going to still gather it. So I'm just going to go ahead, fold this half like this, fold this half at the end here, and then just zigzag it all the way to the end, right? And then after folding it at this center line, now I'll now make a gather stitch all the way. Once I'm done, I'll now use it to design my own. You understand? So let me go ahead and first join this gather, and then we'll come back and deal with the ruff. So guys, this is where we are at the moment. So let me show you what I've done so far. So you see how I joined this to this? I sewed it down this way so that when you turn it over, the stitch is underneath it. You see? So I flipped my fabric on this way, and then made my gather as I was sewing it all the way to the back, so that when I pull it down, it then covers the stitch. So you see, when I turn it over, it covers all the stitch that I made. The stitch is now underneath it like this. You see? So now that we finished the first layer, remember, like I said, you're going to take the second layer now and join it to it. So how I'm going to join the second layer is the same way. I'm going to take this one here now, the longer one, and then add it to the bottom. But this time around, I'm going to gather it. You understand? Like how you normally gather your clothes. So guys, if you look now, you will see the part that I've done. You see, I just sewed it, but you see where I sewed it. I sewed it at the top. If you look, you see I sewed it at the top, not really where the two of them meet. So I sewed it at the upper one, so it now covers it all the way down like this. You see, that is it. And then in here I tucked it in like this. So you see this upper one now is like the flap here. I can stitch it down on top of this like this all the way down. I'm yet to complete this one, but see what it looks like. You see, I'm still going to wrap it around like this, and then continue this end here all the way to the end like this. So this is what it looks like. And for the front, I later brought it back up because when I did that 13 in front, I didn't like it, so I went back and did instead 11, right? I did 11, or you can just stick to your hip on in front and not give it that deep. I think the deep fits better at the back. So that is it. So now this same thing I just did at the upper part, I'm going to bring it down to this join in here, to this next line here. So I already have my this here ready. So you see what I was saying, I tried to do the zigzag method here. Let me show you, but it wasn't coming out how I thought it would come out. You see the zigzag, it wasn't looking nice, so I just decided to stick to a straight stitch all the way. So all I did was just fold half an inch on one end, fold half an inch on the other end, and then in between it is where I'm going to be making my stitch.